This is the background story to how we made More Tea Vicar, one of the entries for the Pathfinder's group video challenge. The images were created using Flux, a favourite AI image generator, and the prompt for the images generated using ChatGPT. This is the prompt used to create the Vicar. As you can see, it's fairly detailed. One thing I've learned is that the prompts are a bit of a black art. Sometimes a very simple one line is enough, and anything too detailed causes the model confusion. But other times it has to be very detailed, as in this case. This was the result. At first glance it looks ideal, but closer inspection reveals some slight errors, such as the double spout on the teapot. But for a first attempt, it was very impressive. Keen to see what kind of other Pixar-style images could be produced, the prompt was altered slightly to create these other images. This was the first set of about 30 images it created. Different Flux models were used to see which ones produced the best. Flux 1.1 had just been released, and there were both the Pro and the Ultra versions, so image generation was a bit variable. This was as much about seeing what was possible as well as trying to make a video. All in all, I suspect that well over 100 images were generated. Many couldn't be used. Sometimes things were floating or misshaped, items were incorrect, or just totally wrong. In other cases, the image style changed. Anyone who's worked with AI image generation will have experienced that something like a quarter of the generations might not be usable or require some extra alteration. One interesting part of the backstory is that if it wasn't for Pathfinder member Cameron, it's possible it probably wouldn't have been made. It was Cam who provided the motivation, as I'll explain. Following Tim's announcement for the group challenge back in December last year, I had arranged for our first Pathfinder Zoom meeting for early January. The intention was for members to suggest ideas for the group video. Since I was leading it, and ever conscious that it was possible there might be no suggestions at all, which would make for both a very short and quiet meeting, I decided to bring something along that would be a bit of an icebreaker. I created the More Tea Vicar musical track. It wasn't intended to be much more than a throwaway joke, gently poking fun at Tim's various suggestions for the phrases he wanted included. I had added all of his words into ChatGPT, together with a suggestion for a musical theme, and then used the lyrics it created to prompt Suno to output the song. As it happened, there were 5 good suggestions for a video at the meeting, more than enough to get at least one video out. But with the music track being both catchy and a bit of fun, I played it to the group. I wasn't expecting it to be taken very seriously, but it was. The team then set about critiquing the structure and lack of a complete story, and Tim seemed to have ambitious plans to set the scene in a garden fete using real actors. Keen to diffuse any great enthusiasm, not least because I really didn't want to make a proper video out of it, I said that I saw it as being more of a Pixar-style cartoon that would be more in keeping with the whimsical music track. It was Cameron who then expressed some doubt about our ability to create a Pixar-style cartoon in the time frame. Not only would it be too expensive, but it would require skills we probably didn't have, and involve a substantial crew to generate it. That should have provided me with an ideal opportunity to kick the whole thing into the long grass and forget about it. But instead, because I just can't resist a challenge, particularly one that would involve AI, I decided that immediately after the meeting I'd look at different creation tools to see what could be done. I started with a text-to-video generator, but these 2 results showed that not only was the output unpredictable, but the background characters in the video were a big mess. Later that evening, I took a completely different approach, with a workflow of creating an image first and then uploading it into a video generator. I tried Minimax Director and Kling 1.6 Pro because both will accept an image upload as their first frame, and then all that's required is a prompt for some action. As you can see, not all of them are perfect, but enough to prove that the concept was viable. Ultimately then, we have Cameron to thank for being both the inspiration and the drive that resulted in the Morty Vicar video that we have today. Next, it was a matter of taking something that was a throwaway gag and trying to improve the story in the audio track and creating more images and video clips. Altering the words proved to be quite a challenge. Making too many changes to lyrics risked losing the whole melody, and I really liked the way it was. But with only a few changes, it just about worked. The team were very good at critiquing the different video versions. It was very frustrating to want to do something that AI at that time simply couldn't do. The lack of consistency of characters and getting the details in the image and video correct meant that there were huge limitations in how the video and story could be developed. The biggest issue for me with the video is that I couldn't generate an establishing shot that also retained consistency of characters. So it's not clear where the various people are in the room. Nor was it possible to show even a few of the participants together in the very large conservatory.
We needed to keep an eye on expenditure. The images were only about 4p each to make,
but each second of video generation cost 10 pence, so it could quite easily have become very costly.
One approach we used was to slow down some of the video clips to make them longer,
but the consequence was the obvious choppy effect. But Flow Frames, a free AI utility that generates extra frames, came to our rescue. It enables original footage to be recreated at up to 300 frames per second, well above
the 25 we were using.
That meant that we could run the video clips very slowly
and still retain total smoothness.
On one occasion, the vicar and the widow were needed to appear in the same shot. A video background remover was used and the two shots overlaid. Not perfect, but certainly acceptable. The pulling together of all the clips still required
the use of a standard editing suite, but it was nothing complicated and my
14-year-old Sony Vegas
Pro 13 did the job.
Back in early January, I thought it might be possible to create a reasonable attempt at an animated cartoon, but my expectations were well below what was actually produced. The final video is testament to what could be produced using AI in the early months of this year. And I think it's pretty amazing. The entire video cost about £20 to make. Now, if I was to remake it today, given the massive recent advances in AI, the video would be very different. Images could be much more expressive, and this 3D rotation from a single image taken from the video is a pretty impressive showcase of current capabilities. These new and improved offerings are still very competitively priced, and even today, that cost would be much the same. However, there are now some big hitters in the AI video generation field, such as Google's newly released VO3. That's capable of far better consistency and, for proper video creation, includes AI-generated speech, lip sync and background sound effects. Our challenge as amateur video makers is its cost. VO3 costs £250 a month for the subscription, and that only provides for a total of 11 minutes of video generation. The fact that this video, for all its faults, enables people in the club to make an animated story with a minimal crew and for less than £20 is breathtaking. And the fact is that this will be the worst it will ever be. It will only get better. Enjoy the ride. Video making will never be the same again.